Well, monetization is a big thing that we talk about on this YouTube channel. We want all of our fans to be informed of the game that they're paying for. We talk about this a lot, that video games are luxury goods that are not necessary for our survival. So yes, it's once again time to check out Bellular. Bellular is going to tell us what Riot has done, what you can learn from this, and how, if any, kinds of learnings we can get when we look at other video games. Let's see what Bellular has for us. And you're going to learn how you can better spend your money by the end of this video with the games we know and love. Let's see what Bellular has for us. Take it away.
Gambling sponsors are now targeting predominantly young men through esports, and today Riot Games is basically about to make the whole thing much worse. But just so this is in context, this is the same industry that's linked to a 25% rise in US bankruptcy filings, so that's lovely, and young men in low-income regions are the hardest hit population group. So with that—
Really? I don't know why that doesn't make sense to me, but maybe it does to some of you. That doesn't make sense to me at all. Lower income dudes are gambling with video games? Sports gambling. Okay, that actually makes sense. So this is why we're going over this, is because some form of gambling exists in most of the games that we all play. We mainly play EVE Online, and there's something called the HyperNet inside of EVE Online, which is literally no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Straight up gambling. I don't even know where it is. This shows you how much I do it, and I don't do it because I actually have to find it. This is straight up gambling. You can spend 163 million ISK, which is a decent chunk of change, to get a ship that's worth about $1 billion. Okay, so you can buy a ticket, and then you might get this ship that's worth $1 billion ISK, maybe. So it's straight up gambling. It is not a good thing. It is absolutely a waste of money. You will lose money. I've even tried to put up items myself on the HyperNet inside of EVE, and I've lost money every single time. So some people say they can make money on it. I just think they're straight up lying. So it's not a good idea. We are talking about this because more and more games these days, you know what loot boxes are, but there's a trend in gaming now where stuff is being pulled back. Gambling is being lessened, and I'm happy for this, but it looks like Riot is not doing that. Let's see what Bellular has to say.
Young men in low-income regions are the hardest hit population.
So interesting.
So with that in mind, now we get to talk about how the biggest name in esports has just opened the goddamn floodgates. In short, Riot Games is allowing betting sponsors into League of Legends and into Valorant. And by making this move, they give every other esports league justification to follow.
That's true.
Basically, these companies know exactly who they are reaching, and now they have a direct pipeline. Here's the change. Sports betting sponsorships are coming to pro teams in North America, Europe, and the Middle East. Now, Riot—
I'm so on the fence about this. Okay, follow me here. Follow me here. Esports is an unironically dead, not dying, dead market. Yes, League of Legends has massive tournaments with scenes like this. Y'all don't get it because you haven't been behind the scenes like I have. I brokered deals with Twitch. I've done influencer deals. I've done branding deals on the other side of the fence. Esports, you lose money. All esports orgs bleed cash and are basically a front to push other things, to put the users to other products. That's what literally it is. And I could have an entire video on just that thing. Riot Games loses money on its, and then add just it on Twitch. Sheesh. Riot Games loses money on its esports league every year. So they need to do something else in order to bring in income to be able to make the tournaments bigger. The reason why the player salaries that are doing esports are so low compared to, let's say, soccer or football or tennis, not the tennis memes again, is because they lose money every year. The NFL doesn't lose money. No, no, it don't. The World Cup does not lose money. Tennis does not lose money. Roughly speaking, esports has lost money basically since its inception at a macro to micro scale. So bringing in different kinds of sponsors isn't necessarily a bad thing on the surface because it'll help the players get paid more. It'll help the stadiums have bigger hype. It'll help there be more goodies for the fans. On the surface, it's a good thing, but gambling, letting sports betting into esports, letting you bet on which players are going to score the most points. And because of the stat that Bellular just showed, that the people that are most likely to do online, especially sports gambling, are lower income people, that's a no for me. I don't like gambling. I'm a Christian. I think it's straight up Not correct. You can do what you want. I'm not your dad, but I don't like it. I'm on the fence about this because giving more income to the industry is good for the players, good for the fans, and yes, good for the companies involved. But gambling, let's see what Baylor has to say. So,
I first considered this in December 2024, but now the president, John Needham, has published this lovely blog post. It outlines what's happening and why they're doing it.
Why
sports betting and why now?
Money. What's the always sunny? Money me. Me a money a giving now. Money a me a wanting now. That's why.
Plus how they plan to minimize risk. Now, you might be wondering, why now? And their justification is fairly simple. They say the teams have been asking for gambling sponsors.
The teams have been asking for gambling sponsors. Let me read this exactly. Teams have been asking us to consider for years is sports betting as a sponsor category. I can tell you this is 100% true, not because I have firsthand knowledge, but because I understand how the market of this stuff works. The moment one company opens the floodgates, and this is what this is, to sports gambling, now Halo, Counter-Strike, World of Warcraft, literally everybody is going to do this. And again, it's such a tough, I literally don't know where this lands, because it's going to inject income into the teams and the players. It will. But it looks like that's at the expense of lower income people, and that just doesn't sit well with me.
For years, obviously, because it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And audiences are already gambling. And here's the scale.
They are.
League and Valorant generate 10.7 billion in gambling.
They're already doing it. 70% of bets across all sports are placed in unregulated markets. So it's like it's already happening. So instead of it going to third-party sites, $10 billion, you think this money, if half of that goes back to the league and to the players, and it's not going to be literally players getting $5 billion, you know what I'm saying, it trickles down. But if it's already happening, so this is kind of what I'm talking about. It's already happening and it's unregulated. I would just let the teams do this if it's already happening. I've said it's morally wrong, but it's already happening and the players are not seeing a benefit from it as much as they could. So start regulating it and then let the players get some of this. I'm always about the individual here.
But there's a problem. And that problem is that 70% of those bets are happening in unregulated bookies. And the unregulated part is what bothers Riot. Now, they say it's unsafe because people may lose money because these sites can be unscrupulous.
Look, this might be right, but let's just be honest. Riot doesn't care about the fact that it's unregulated. Riot cares about the fact that they don't have a hand in that pot. Come on. You know, like, they can say whatever. Let me anti-PR speak for you. Riot sees that 70%, I know he's muted. Riot sees that 70% of the markets are unregulated, and they say, we believe it's better to engage in allowing betting sponsorships thoughtfully, carefully, and with the right protections than to sit on the sidelines while risk to the fans and integrity go unchecked. This is a true statement and not why they're doing it. they see 10 billion and they're like,
give me that.
You know, they're going to go get this. So, right. They're not losing money. They're just not getting more money, which here's, okay. I just figured it out. Focus up. If and when they get the sports betting stuff in place, Riot Games, they will get this set up. They have it now as a part of the league. If the player salaries do not go up, if the team swag and the team, call it affluence, does not go up, after Riot Games puts this in place, you will know that the teams are not getting any of this money. And you will know that Riot Games is keeping those billions for themselves. Then you're going to hear me drop the hammer. If they set this up and the teams increase, if the salaries of the players increase, these League of Legends players, they don't make good money. It's sad. It's one of the reasons why esports is not taken seriously in the main market, because their players are eating ramen noodles and everything. So if the players have their salaries increase and their quality of life goes up, you're going to hear me say, I don't like gambling, but the best of a bad situation, I accept. If it goes the other way, We're going to make a more strongly worded video. Okay, thank you. So
safe because people may lose money because these sites can be unscrupulous. And that absolutely is a risk. Of course, the other side is, you know, people losing absolute
league players do make less than the WNBA. That's not a joke. That's real.
Humongous amounts of money via traditional gambling, working as intended. Here's the basic logic they're using. So, you know how
not the tennis memes again. We can't escape it, dude. It's
teenagers will be tempted to drink alcohol, so you might think it's better to give them something light under supervision rather than have them, I don't know, drink Tesco value vodka in a field somewhere. But the question, right, is that by
the editor Googled,
show me a stock image of vodka right now. Give me an.
That's fantastic stuff. No, he is right. This makes sense to me. Totally makes sense to me.
Legitimizing it by making it more normal, giving it way more exposure, will you reduce the average damage done per individual, but actually cause far more harm overall because you've just went and expanded?
I mean, look at this. This is real. This is a stadium full of League of Legends. This is a worldwide. League of Legends is the biggest video game in the world, period. I didn't say brand. Pokemon is actually quantifiably the biggest, not just video game brand of the world. Pokemon is a top 5 world brand. Pokemon is as big as Coca-Cola is. No memes. League of Legends is one of the biggest video games in the world. Look at the stadium. It's literally full. This is a Worlds match. I like how Bellyler's coming across this, that yes, it's like, okay, you have unregulated stuff. You have a bunch of money and we want a piece of that pie and hopefully it goes to the players. But is making this more normalized going to help the everyman more than it's going to hurt? That's a big question. So bigger than Jesus? Probably not.
And the market
nothing's
to
bigger
way
than Jesus.
More people by making it easier to access. And would that actually mean, ran over time, that you'd start to find more really, really bad problem gambling cases?
I totally agree.
Basically, you're going to reach way more people, and that means way more people who could potentially fall into problem gambling. That's certainly my worry, but first, let's take a look at what this will actually look like in esports. A fun thing about this is Riot absolutely knows how this can be bad luck and all of the potential problems, so there is a degree of supervision from them in that they will personally vet every single sponsor. They
vet and approved all potential sports betting sponsors. They must be vetted and approved by Riot. I like this. This is kind of a standard thing, though. I can tell you that this is not just for the consumers. This is also for Riot's investors. The moment you open up, okay, so nudity, how advertising works. A lot of you don't know this. So let me just break this down for you. How advertising works, one of the reasons why Twitch is dying, not my opinion, okay, compared to YouTube and other websites. Even Kick is doing better than Twitch right now. Did you guys know this? That even Kick is doing better in the public eye comparatively to Twitch because of a lot of top streamers straight up doing pro-terrorist propaganda on the website. Not my opinion. Actually, what's happening right now. What a wild sentence that is factually true. Twitch, get your crap together. Sheesh. So how advertisers work. Nudity, gambling, extremist takes, politics, especially on both the left and the right. These are seen as not good mediums to serve ads on, obviously. Okay, if somebody's watching somebody scream at somebody politically and doing threats of violence, Coke does not want to see a Coca-Cola ad right there. You know, Pokemon does not want to see an ad next to somebody shouting at like the other side of the fence, ideologically speaking. And this is not a politics stream. I don't want to hear it. I will ban people, okay? Just objective truth. That's how advertisers are. If you disagree with me, you're just wrong because I've brokered these deals. That's just how this goes. I've literally worked with Ford and other big brands. Thanks for using my code. Thanks for that, okay? So what this is for is because Riot goes, hey, we're going to start doing sports gambling, but sponsors, we're going to vet all of this. So this is a double-edged sword. This is for both the people, us, the consumers, and the sponsors that are already there, that we're not just going to let everything run rampant and just get like shady third-party site in third world country that's also a gambling site. You know, they're not going to have like a money laundering website is not going to be able to advertise during our stuff. Good. But this is also like a duh, you know, so sucks. So, you know, this is correct. Dude, I don't care what side of literally don't care what side of the aisle people are on. We're here to make content about video game infotainment. I don't care. Vote whoever you want. I literally could care less. That's how this goes. So
they also say they'll make sure that partnered betting
be very clear about that.
Riot-approved data, which will mean that nobody gets actively manipulated. But there is a bit more. Teams are going to have to self-regulate their partnerships, and Riot's going to demand that
mandate. Sorry, it's so hot in here, Jack, because my AC died today or a couple days ago. Pray for you, boy. It's 80 degrees in my house. Not a joke. Okay. As part of our broader sponsorship guidelines, we've established a requirement for teams to create and assess their own internal integrity program. This I like because it means that if a team, they're giving choice to the teams that if you don't want a gambling sponsorship, you can make that decision. This is a Riot W. This is a Riot W. This means that if you have a team that's like, look, we just don't want to deal with this. Okay. Now, I got to tell you, this is also giving the choice to the team is a Riot W, but it's also Riot going, look, if you guys don't want to deal with the gambling sponsors, we're just going to take the gambling money and not give you a cut. So this is a mutually beneficial thing for Riot and the teams. It gives the team the choice, but you also get the anti-marketing speak here on this channel. That's the unique thing you get. You get what this statement actually means. It means, yes, the team, you get the choice. And if a team doesn't want to take part in the gambling sponsorships, then Riot just keeps their share of the money. They're encouraging you to do it, so just amazing stuff.
Each team makes an internal integrity program.
That's good.
So that they can investigate themselves. And as for what that's got to be, Riot says,
teams pursuing betting partnerships must have established an integrity program, which this word sounds like, Ministry of Truth crap. But hey, they must also assess if this, like all their partnerships, makes sense for their brand and fans. I mean, look, this makes total sense. There's a League of Legends team that is not like full competitive. They're not like D1. They're not Division 1, but it's literally a full League of Legends team with 60 plus people. It's actually an old person League of Legends team. Maybe they don't want this. Maybe they want, unironically, like hearing aids as a sponsor. You laugh. I'm being serious. That makes sense for the target audience. Chat, gamers are getting older. I had to go get my first ever cancer screening the other day. I'm fine, by the way. Thanks for your prayers. No problems. Maybe can you imagine me being old and being like, yes, I have like my dentures, Hey, welcome back. We did it again. EVE Online stream. Today we're going to be going over Tier 7 Marauders. And one day that might happen, chat. And what kind of sponsors am I going to want? I'm not going to want hot sauce. That hurts my old bladder. I'm going to want like walkers and hearing aid sponsors. It's good. What a wild time it's going to be an old YouTuber, chat. We'll see. This is good. I like this.
A self-defined policy for selecting sponsorships. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the highest bar on the earth to me. Teams can be held to this, though, by Riot and by fans. So you can see why they want to do this. It's kind of like a PR incentive thing.
It is.
And it's all designed to keep bad actors out of things. And of course, money is going to be trickled down.
Yes,
just like
hopefully.
how many gambling policies work. Riot say that they'll take a portion of the revenue.
And this right here is my biggest problem with all of this. This is not just a question, it is the question, okay? The portion of the revenue invested back into Tier 2 across a number of areas. Tier 2 is some of the teams, okay? It's not all of the teams. It's the top teams, basically. And a number of areas. This is vague on purpose. If Riot is making, let's say they get half of the previous number, let's say they get $5 billion a year from this. If they invest 100,000, you're going to see me openly say, do not play League of Legends. They are scam artists. They are taking your money. If they invest much of it, we'll see. Now, here's how this could go. They could invest a large portion into like venues or we're using this to invest in our team, into hiring more people. You already have enough money coming in, Riot. If you take $5 billion and you get half of it into your teams, that is going to go a long way. I pray and hope that they understand this, that if you help more people play League of Legends, more people will play League of Legends. That sounds like it's obvious, but to some executives, it isn't. They want to line their pockets instead of invest in the players. Unironically, League's funnel is like this right now. But if you make League's funnel like this, where more people can play at the bottom because there's a dream and there's money to go up the chain, more people will play the game, which means more people will pay you money. But some executives at some companies don't get that. I hope I hope they're not like that.
Say they'll invest that in tier 2 esports programs.
Oh.
So the implication basically, right, is that these sponsors will become preferred betting partners. And
Yes.
in theory, that's safer than unregulated bookies. And that basically money from all.
Great point. They're already selling skins for $200, says Nitro. But that's my point. If they can sell, if you see skin prices go down, if you see player salaries go up, team quality of life go up, you'll know this worked. But if you see increasing skin prices, team salaries are not competitive. They're not keeping up with inflation. You're seeing teams rise and fall because of money. You'll know they're just taking the Riot's just taking the money and running.
All of this is going to go into like the more grassroots side of esports. So really, dear gamer, all of this gambling is in fact good for you. Brackets, it's going to make all of us a shitload of money. But here's the thing. With how Riot are doing this, they are absolutely being cowardly, right? Because they've not fully committed to this. If Riot had have simply said, look, we want sport betting in our league as a part of the financial ecosystem, then they could have said that, you know, maybe just like any other advertising thing.
Right.
But instead, no, they are hedging their bets. You see, they still insist that gambling is bad, right? I mean, otherwise, why ensure that it's not officially connected? And even after vetting, well, just take a look at this. Riot-owned broadcast and social channels have got to stay betting free. That this
Riot-owned broadcast and social channels will stay betting free. This is what I was just talking about. Their current advertisers, their current sponsors, this is a legal thing. They will not allow it. They will lose more money than they will gain if they allow the official broadcast to do this. So, but this means it's still going to remain like in the shadows. So no betting partners will be able to run sponsored segments. The team jerseys will not have partner logos. They're just going to allow people to gamble over there while they're not actually allowed to show it. I got to tell you, this is not as nefarious as Bellular is making it out to be. This is a reality of their current sponsors. So their current sponsors, thanks to use my code, won't allow this. Sorry, I shot my hot sauce for my breakfast. Come back to bite me. This is not a nefarious thing. I could tell you, Bellular might, he understands a lot more than people give him credit for, but this is, I don't see nefarious stuff in this. I see current sponsor obligations in this. Again, that's what you get for being on this channel. Okay.
Broadcast and social channels have got to stay betting free. That means no ads. It means no sponsored segments from betting partners. And it means no betting partner logos on team jerseys.
Right.
So that's quite funny when you think about it. It is putting the pressure on everyone else. Official streams, absolutely no gambling. So who's going to get stuck with it? Well, I think the answer is fairly obvious. And we know that it's the team owners who really...
Teams have been asking us to consider the sponsors for years. So if you can't do official sponsors, what's going to happen is they're going to give the sponsors to the teams to help the players. So let's say, who's the really awesome mid laner? Faker. He's one of the most famous players in League of Legends history. They're going to give the sponsor to Faker to like, hey, as part of our obligations, you have to run this ad every couple minutes, whatever it is, or every hour, you know, and you have to put this logo on your stream. That's not bad. That's not really a problem. Yo, thanks for the dono, Dodd. Really appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. That's not a bad thing. I gotta tell you, this is just how the game goes. Do you want to get a salary? Do you want to be flown out places? That's not free. You have to do something. There has to be some middle ground between the advertisers and the players. And I disagree with Bellular's take here that this is somehow a bad thing and like a nefarious thing that Riot is not letting it be on official channels. I need to see more implementation, but what I'm telling you is I think this is a misunderstanding on Bellular's part on how advertising deals go. Typically, I fully agree with what Bellular is saying, but this one makes total sense to me because the Riot Games current advertisers cannot, by definition, show nudity, gambling, extreme politics on their official channels. That's just it's baked into every contract, legally speaking. So we'll see. So
really wanted this. So they're going to have to figure out where to put their contractually obligated sponsor content.
Yes.
And almost certainly that means pressure on players.
Yeah.
Or doing things like event co-streams.
Sure.
And those are actually not small numbers. As an example, co-casters of the 2024 Worlds may...
Co-casters, and I'll put this here so y'all can see this. This is a really big deal. And one of the things I want you to notice is the different countries. We've got UK. eBay is in South America. I don't recognize the flag. That's Brazil. I got to know that one. You know, this is China. I want to say I don't know all the world flags. Chat that's the Korean one. Chad, I literally didn't finish college, and geography was my weakest one. I don't know what that flag is. And Chad, can we talk about the UK? How many freaking flags are in the UK? They're all red, white, and blue, but they're like, this one has the white in the middle. This one's vertical. That one's horizontal. Is that Germany? I have no idea. So look at the difference in countries here. League of Legends is a France. Okay, France. Gotcha. C'est comme ça. Okay. C'est comme ça. There it is. So this is really cool about League of Legends. That look at the global co-stream viewerships. This means that these people were live and they were showcasing League of Legends to their community. They were not at the event. They were literally doing like this. They were reacting. Okay, so this is really cool. We like this.
Made up 87.5 million hours,
yes,
which is 45% of all event streams. So that's actually huge. Now,
right, so imagine that Stake goes to eBay. I don't know how to pronounce because I never watch his stuff. He's very big. I just don't watch his stuff. Or K-Drill here. Imagine Stake goes to them and says, "Hey, Stake goes to Riot." Says, "Hey, sponsorship." Riot goes to these guys and go, "Hey, throw Stake's logo on there." The problem is then now, why can't the creator just go to Stake? We'll see.
Hours, which is 45% of all event streams.
Yes.
So that's actually huge. Now, teams don't
deal.
have to walk quite the tightrope here. Basically, they've got to navigate platform policies and local laws. And as they do all of that, Riot will be raking in cash for permitting this. So the takeaway is quite a funny one. Riot Games thinks that betting ads are okay, but only if they're from chosen partners, and they don't think they're okay if they've got to advertise it themselves. Say, by a team having a logo on a jersey and that team going to an event that they broadcast.
Right.
Just quite weird. And it does look rather cowardly. Like
cowardly is not the right word. I don't think video gaming as a whole at a macro, capital V, capital G, is ready for these kind of conversations. That this is a problem. That is something, let me back up here. Esports we talked about this, is a dying breed. It is literally dead. The players make minimum wage. They are flown places and given hotels for free, but they don't make any money. They grind 12 hours a day to be great at a thing that doesn't matter for them in their personal life in a couple years. They burn out constantly. They're constantly stressed, and because there's no money given to the players. Riot, in this case, is holding all the cards because it is their game. It is their deals to broker. But because the money isn't going enough to the players, that same stressor is still there. So the thing we need to discuss as gamers and as players and as people that are playing our games, we say this all the time, by the way, dude, games need to be fun first. League of Legends is a competitive sport game. It's not necessarily for fun. I used to play League a lot. I don't play it anymore because I like having free time that is enjoyable. Okay, thanks. But it is a competitive game. It's like, do you go out and play football with your buddies? Maybe sometimes, casually, but it's mostly played competitively. League of Legends is like that, where you can play casually with your buddies, but everybody that plays League has aspirations to be competitive. Most people that play League have those aspirations. I know because I went to college with a bunch of these dudes. They were like, "Oh, I'm going to make it." And I'm like, "Bro, you're hard stuck in silver. You're not going anywhere." So what the problem with this conversation is, it sounds like Riot holds all the cards, gets to dictate all the things, and gets to decide how those deals are done. There's too much given to the company and not enough given to the players. I'll be happy if more is given to the players. That's my line. Time will tell.
They're kind of trying to have it both ways. And if it doesn't seem convincing to you, well, it doesn't seem convincing to me, and I don't think it should to either of us. It's no surprise that the public reaction here has been absolute skepticism at every level.
Which, of course.
So with it looking so strange, why would Riot and these teams think that this is the way forward? The answer is very, very simple. Guaranteed money. Who doesn't want some guaranteed money? Essentially, esports groups have not really had that much guaranteed money lately. The esports winter started ages ago, and it's still happening. We're seeing layoffs, we're seeing closures. Now, Saudi Arabian wealth has somewhat helped because, they want to do...
What? That's not a headline. I thought, we
don't have any money. Can we ping our Saudi Arabian contact?
What is going on in Shibuya? Okay. What the heck?
Forgotten the word of it, but it's kind of when you launder your reputation.
There it is.
Through sports. It's a very well-known thing, and obviously Saudi money has got its own ethical concerns. So with all that floating around, basically this is more consistent revenue from an industry that's desperate to expand and is desperate for consistent revenue.
Right.
But of course, this is all happening in a way that benefits Riot but does not benefit viewers. How many viewers would never have touched gambling before this? I don't know, but
Correct.
It's probably a lot. And what Riot have done is they've opened the door for that to happen, right?
He's totally right. And this is one of the problems with all this going on. Baylor is completely right about this because, again, I understand marketing, and this is how marketing goes. The percentage of people that would have never, ever gambled in their life that will now gamble is a non-zero number. And gambling is a net negative on most people's life. 90-something% of people that gamble is a net negative. It's probably higher than that. It might be even closer to 100%, like 99 point something. Like, you will, most of the time, you will lose gambling. It is not worth the money. Ever. I went with my buddies to Vegas one time, and we went in with a couple $100 and we lost it the first night because we're bad at poker. And you could say, well, you got to get better at poker. Now, even if you're good at poker, you're still going to lose. It's not, we went there just to have like a whatever the heck. So, and it can be an addiction, web drones. That's why it's important to keep this stuff at, away. And this is kind of the whole conversation we've been talking about is about monetizations of esports, of like the players, how this affects the industry as a whole, because once Riot Games gets this system done, all of a sudden other companies can do it. Because here's what it's going to look like. Just like in football betting now, the spread of the game, how high are the points going to be? What's the spread of points going to be? Is the quarterback going to get tackled a certain amount of time, sacked? Is this receiver going to catch this many balls? How many yards are they going to run? How many yards is this individual going to run? Combine your betting. Anybody that's on sports betting knows what's going to happen with this. League of Legends game. What characters are going to be banned? How many kills are people going to get? How many pentakills? How fast is the match going to be done? How many surrenders? How many times are they going to pan the camera just somebody's face? It's literally all this stuff. And this, if you think this won't come to games like EVE Online, you're wrong. It will. It's just a matter of time. We have the Alliance tournament coming up. At some point, it might be that CCP Games says, look, we'll take free money. We'll see how much money and when that actually happens.
Normalizing it. And this doesn't even address some of the wider problems. Take a look at all of those gacha-based cosmetics that Riot rolls out. And I'm sure
oh my God, dude, they're already doing this, right? Genshin Impact style gacha mechanic. Gacha mechanics are the like anime girls. It's basically a loot box, but it's more like Magic the Gathering, where you buy an online pack and you get a chance of like an epic drop of like a mythic rare, but it's online. So the rates are digitized. So there's no way for you to beat the system, right? When you are getting Magic the Gathering cards, you'll get a mythic in like every box. But with Hearthstone or Genshin Impact or all these other online card games, why I stopped playing Hearthstone. I got tired. I'm like, why? I don't even own the cards. I have cards. Maybe we'll add cards to the channel. So I have Magic. I have Star Wars Unlimited. I played in, here's some deep lore. I played in Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments back in the day. Never topped, never did well, but had a damn good time. So much fun. So literally NFTs, but not tied to the crypto market. So all of these things. So not good.
Seeing the headlines, right, of like $350 to get like the big event skin.
Right,
well,
right.
Funnily enough, a lot of people would say that's kind of like the same as gambling. I mean, sure.
See, here's the thing. The game is free to play, okay? This is why gamers not ready to have this conversation. Because the companies are, here's what's happening simultaneously. The companies are doing doing consumer unfriendly processes to sell items. Having an expensive skin that is $250 is not in itself a bad thing. But the FOMO involved with it, having it be, look, we're only releasing this for this 2-week period and then it's gone forever. Now you're like, well, that's my favorite champion. I play Jinx all the time. I have to get this legend skin because if I play Jinx, I have to have this. People think about it like this. I know because I used to do this. I was an Udyr. I was a jungle main. I was an Udyr Elise main. This was 10 years ago, plus years ago. So some of you are going to hear Udyr jungle. Elise jungle. Yeah, I used to do those things. And when there was an epic Udyr skin, I wanted to buy it because there's a pride element involved with this. So you have companies doing FOMO practices, negative user practices, and at the same time, you have gamers that want everything for free. So we've literally de-incentivized the common man to play video games. I bought a mobile game the other day. It was a free-to-play mobile game. I was playing it like every day just to be direct, but I was really playing it like every other day. Just after my work was done, I was on the couch, wife's on her phone, I'm on my phone. I'm playing a mobile game. I was like, you know what? I'm playing this game. I'm going to go spend like $10. Sure, I'll buy the like speed up mechanic, whatever it is. I'll go spend like $20 because I'm a working adult. I'll go spend $20. The game is fun and I was enjoying it. What I'm not going to do is go spend like, they had a big like $100 bundle. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. But after like a year, that looks way more attractive because I've been playing your game for a year. Maybe I go do that. So the problem with the industry now is gamers simultaneously want everything for free and the companies over monetize their player base. There isn't a middle ground. Maybe, I've said this before, chat, maybe a boy gets enough. I'm building my brand so that I can, it's so hot here, chat, my AC died. I'm building my brand so that I can not depend on viewer generosity. Maybe my brand can get big enough. Maybe I can do it different.
Kinda like the same as gambling. I mean,
Maybe.
Sure, you can't cash out, but it's probability-based bullshit to get an item that you want. Well, now they would be feeding that sort of audience, one that they're cultivating with all these gacha mechanics, directly into betting companies. You know, so I feel like if there's people who are going to be problematic with gacha and get themselves into bother, there's probably a lot of crossover with people who will get themselves into gambling bother. And financial trouble from gambling hits young men in low-income regions the hardest. It's rough stuff, right? And studies do suggest that...
I kind of get it, though. When I was poor, and this was before I met my wife, and I was poor. I had no money. I had no job. I was like 1 degree away from homeless, straight up. And actually, like not a meme. And when I was that low, I just wanted a release from something. So I get it. That like, okay, if I get that one win, there's at least some good thing. And if it's on my phone, man, it's right there. I get it. So.
Of course, that is the exact demographic that is also the most likely to bet on esports.
Correct.
The case you can make for this leading to a lot of problems is, I think,
pretty high.
Compelling. I mean, it's targeting the same group that is proven to show more problem gambling behavior than other groups. And then, of course, there's the risk to...
You can do this, dude. Sure. I can't promise I'll follow it, but sure, you can toast it.
Athletes themselves. And this is something that's not commonly thought about. Now, of course, esports people, they'll face match-fixing allegations as, in traditional sports.
Sure.
But now there's an entire new type of hostility for them.
Oh, you're right.
When somebody loses a bet on one of these sites, on the team that promoted that betting site, that anger can now go straight to the players. Blame can go straight to the...
You're right. I never thought about it like this. In a boxing match, you've seen the movies where the mobster tells the boxer, take a fall. Now there's a massive... When they get this going, there's a massive financial incentive for players. Hey, you need to not do well this match. And if you don't think that's going to happen, when we're talking about billions of dollars... Listen, Caps, I don't know anything about Caps. I'm sure he's a stand-up dude. I have no idea about it. I'm just looking at him. Hey, Caps, I need you to take the fall this game. We're gonna give you, we're gonna cut you a check for $100,000. When they're making hundreds of millions, we're gonna cut you a check for $100,000 to take a fall at Worlds. Boy, oh boy.
To the players.
Not possible. Probable. And again, nothing against Caps. I know nothing about the guy.
Blame can go straight to the players. And that's not me speculating. This is the actual experience of athletes in physical sports. And it's one that's gotten far worse with micro-betting and app-based gambling that just, make it far easier to engage in all that shit. Here's a really fun quote. A December study by 4 of the biggest tennis federations in the world found that angry gamblers were responsible for nearly half of the 12,000 abusive social media posts directed at tennis players.
Well, duh. Boy, is that like obvious, because you start blaming when you gamble enough, when you're addicted, when you have so much money in it, and the one player has a bad day. All of a sudden, who are you mad at? You're not mad at yourself. You can't take accountability because that would be too easy. It's too hard. You go after the player. I think that makes sense.
That year.
It sucks, but it makes sense.
Not great. And all of this is before we talk about how gambling changes the culture. And of course, in this context, it's changing the culture around our games.
Yes.
That, of course, can hurt how our games are
Great
made
point.
and designed. We can begin this whole game gambling thing with the very obvious black market of CSGO skins, right?
Yep.
So skin gambling is already fairly entrenched. But these companies, they crave something more.
They yearn
crave
for it.
legitimacy. And Riot Games just gave them that. You see, gambling groups and online casinos have tried to break into gaming for years and years.
Of course, they got to show train wrecks.
And years. And we've seen this in many ways, like, say, press sites getting flooded with sponsored post offers.
Nothing against Train. He does stream gambling, but notice the top. You do not gamble, you will lose. I respect this, but this is not for people. This is for his lawyers. Objectively. He still gambles and freaks out whenever there's a win. So he is encouraging gambling, just like if Riot Games has this go, so will they.
Years. And we've seen this in many ways, like, say, press sites getting flooded with sponsored post offers. I actually get loads of sponsored post offers from similarly sketchy shit that, of course, I decline because I don't want to promote gambling to people. But
even at my size, Bellular has 500K almost. He'll hit 1 million probably by next year with the rate he's going. It's awesome. It's great to see. I'm going to give you a like too there. My guy, do it. I get offers now. As of this video, I have 33,000 on YouTube. We're close to hitting 34K. Huge. We're gaining a couple thousand subs a month. And even at my level, I get emails, multiples every day from sketchy companies offering me life-changing amounts of money to promote their thing to you. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars, y'all. And I don't say yes because I don't want to do. I've gotten offers from gambling sites like this, not from Stake directly, but stuff like this.
The whole point in all of this is about normalizing
it's not worth it.
Advertising of gambling, right?
Yep.
Getting it in front of an audience who are familiar with the idea of playing odds. And we can take a look at this already happening. For one, the Escapist immediately began running ads after being sold. And those ads...
I am serious, WebDrone. WebDrone says, are you serious? Yeah, I've gotten offers for tens of thousands of dollars to do sponsors for video games that you know of that are not video games, okay? That they're storefronts, okay? And from gambling sites too, from like decently legitimate spots. And I don't take them because my priority is you, the viewer.
Included
not my
best
wallet.
Offshore casinos for US players and best online casinos in the US.
Sheesh.
Lovely stuff. Meanwhile, Aftermath covered the Adventure Games Forum sale. This is wild. 20 years of archives were purged, but do you know what was added? Gambling coverage with advertising.
Sheesh.
Lovely. So, you know, it's not about the games. It's not about gaming culture. It's about getting gambling in front of more eyes. So it's normalized. That's one piece of the puzzle. Get more people to see gambling in the context of gaming. The next piece of the puzzle.
That's why I don't like this. This is a biblical thing. The Bible does talk about how first, and gambling is a sin. It does talk about this. Not just gambling, but like sins are first like hated, then they are tolerated, then they are done en masse, then they are encouraged. You can look at how our culture has gone the last 20 years and look at all the crazy stuff that's going on right now. That's the cycle. This isn't something new. It's human nature. God made us, and you know, you can believe whatever you want to believe, Chad. I'm not your dad, but God made us. He understands us. This is how it is. That's right, Eric. Exactly. So crazy.
Well, that's to make it legitimate. To make it legitimate, to make it feel legitimate, you gotta get someone like Riot on board.
Yep.
And that is exactly what Riot have been seemingly happy to do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll turn the focus back to Riot. Now,
Makes
on this
sense.
channel, we've extensively covered Riot's financial concerns. And because of all that, we do kind of know why they're approving this now. Teams, of course, need to survive the esports winter.
I have no idea what champion that is. I have no idea who this is. That's not Ari. I have no idea. She's got the cheek stuff. Is this the Fox girl?
Know why they're approving this now. Teams, of course, need to survive the esports winter. That's very important for Riot. It's important to the whole business model.
So the esports winter, this is what I was just talking about. Esports is literally Kaisa. I don't know. I haven't played in 10 years. Esports winter is a really good way to describe straight up esports being dead because there's no money. Because the investors, esports was the hot thing 7-10 years ago, and tons of investors came in. You had people like Drake buying esports teams like 100 Thieves. They did not make their money back, or at least they didn't make it back at the same time frame that they wanted to. So people are now, no more investors are coming in. So now they're having to take gambling. That's actually why this is happening.
Sports winter, that's very important for Riot. It's important to their whole business model, the culture around their game, the culture that drives all those skin sales. Now, of course, Riot gets a cut of that lovely guaranteed revenue, but they're not comfortable with this decision, or else they wouldn't have framed it as being a risky thing. They wouldn't have banned it from official streams. They also know the players won't like it. They're doing it anyway, and now the floodgates are very...
I think Baylor is like 90% right here. They're not putting it on official channels because they want money and they can't lose their current sponsors, because their current sponsors have in their contracts certain clauses that they can't have their ads next to certain negatively perceived advertising things like nudity, gambling, political extremist stuff. So that's less them Riot saying, hey, we won't put it here because we don't like gambling. It's more, hey, we're not putting here because we literally can't, legally speaking.
Much opened. Because every competitive esports scene, from the perspective of financial incentives, they all want these sponsors to get a green light.
Yes.
And if this is happening with Riot, right? If Riot can get comfortable and take the flak for being a bit of a first mover, then smaller groups will also move. And that means we are going to be looking at a very different industry in a few years. And frankly,
he's very right, and I don't like this. And I'm gonna actually go back on what I was saying at the start of this, where I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not on the fence, even though this gives the players more money. I think this is a problem long term because of this exact thing. This is the stake UI. This is online gambling and trending sports: soccer, tennis, baseball, cricket, basketball, League of Legends, Dota, CS2. Gamble on these. Here's what is currently happening. You have entire video games getting made, and the goal of it is not a fun game. The goal is making money. Like Raid Shadow Legends is very clearly a game that its goal is to create income for the company, not make a good game. Star Citizen seems to be that way. I have to go play it myself to give you a definitive thing. Raid, I don't need to because it's just so pathetically obvious. But even when video games are not made to make them money, as a primary goal, every company needs to make money. I'm not saying they shouldn't make money. I'm saying if the primary goal is to make income, that's different than in making a good game, because a good game first will sell units. Look at Elden Ring. Elden Ring is one of the best games ever made. And it sold millions and millions of units because it was genuinely one of the best games. The replayability, everything about it was fantastic. EVE Online, for example, has been littered with microtransactions and increased costs, especially in the last couple years. But the game is still fun first, in my opinion. It might be 51% fun, 50% money, but it's still fun first. There's more to do in EVE than ever before. It's easier to get into. You can play it for free. Use my link in the description. Thank you. It's just one of the best games there is out there right now. Every game needs monetization. The problem is with all of these monetization tactics. Remember 10 years ago? When you bought Halo 3 or 15 years ago, whatever it is, when you bought Halo 3, you bought Halo 3. That was it. There was no season pass. There was no, deluxe edition. There was no microtransactions. Look at Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, littered with microtransactions. Terrible. Now, season passes are actually a really good system, in my opinion, when they're done right. Look at Helldivers. Helldivers, they did a really awesome season pass. So there's examples of quality monetization, and we talk about that on this channel. Like Elder Scrolls Online actually has a decent monetization structure where if they put out content, you know how when a World of Warcraft expansion comes out, you have to buy the expansion and then you get all this content, but maybe you don't love some of the content that they put in. That's a decent, World of Warcraft has a decent monetization structure. ESO has another different but still decent monetization structure where they make new content chapters and you can pay for those chapters and they're like $5 a chapter. So if you're a warrior main and you don't care about all of these rogue skills and the rogue cosmetics, don't pay for the rogue chapter. Okay, or the thief, whatever the heck it is. Decent. Good. This is why we talk about it. So I disagree that EVE is boring, James. Straight up. I can tell you, if you think EVE is boring, it's because you're not doing exciting stuff. And there's no reason to play a game forever. If EVE is boring you, there's nothing wrong with you finding other games. I'm sorry to single you out, James, but it's just a fact. Either the game is played itself out and you can go find other games because games are an enjoyment thing. If you don't like something, if you're not getting joy out of a video game, go play other games. There's infinite other games out there. And if you're bored in EVE, it's probably because you're doing boring things. Time to show me that horizon kind of a thing. So,
at a very different industry in a few years. And frankly, it's an industry that is shown to be a true parasite. And it's one of those things, look,
makes sense.
Adults can spend money on whatever the hell they want. Sure, right, I absolutely get that. But I think there is a concept that you need to keep in mind whenever we're sort of making like libertarian routes.
Eve can be boring to some people. World of Warcraft is boring to me. I don't play retail because it's boring to me, you know, and because I was addicted. Okay. I don't play League because it was boring to me. I got tired of it. You know, this is another big, we talk about this a lot. Another conversation that gamers aren't willing to have right now is people talk about what is worth it. If you play a game for years and hundreds of hours, the game was worth it. Just because some people get bored of Eve and stop playing, that is 100% their choice, and they can go do it. No bad blood here. Nothing morally wrong with that. It's a game. It's not a lifestyle. We talk about this here on this channel. A lot of people make the game they play into a lifestyle. That's too much. How much more when they're also gambling on it? So
arguments. And that is the simple concept of an unpriced negative externality.
Love
the point
that.
Essentially being that, say, gambling, right? That leads to a whole bunch of social problems. Those social problems then, guess what? Cause problems in the community. Now
Yes.
that can mean that the
What a
state
really good way to put it. I don't even know the phrase he said, but really well
has
said.
got to spend money because it furthers a whole bunch of bad outcomes. Obviously, there's problems within families, problems in the community. Now that is something that we all
This is a really good macro stat. In states without online sports betting, bankruptcy filing increased modestly, but in states with online sports betting allowed, filing surged 25% across the same period. This is a big deal. That people get addicted to a thing and then they do a thing until it kills them. We know this. It's human nature, Chad. That's why Chad, I've been seriously considering quitting drinking. I haven't had a drop of alcohol in a couple weeks now, almost a month. I don't miss it. I got too much going on. I can't slow down. I got a company with employees. I have a wife. I have y'all. I have a brand I have to do. I'm not an alcoholic, but you know what's in my family? Alcoholism. My grandpa. And I'm very, to this day, I remember it was my dad's dad. And I remember being young and my dad would have a couple beers. He's at home, it's fine. But I would see him, he's drinking, he would look at his beer and he would put it down and it wouldn't leave that spot the rest of the night. He would have this moment where he's like, I'm not going to be like, in his mind, my dad is what I think he was thinking. I remember those moments. And I'm similar where I'm like, Dad, I'm going to help break this generational curse in our family. And I don't need the drink. How much more, thank you, Eric, how much more will gambling be a problem? This is just, hey, we allow it in our state. How much more if it's a part of gaming culture in the forefront, not in the shadows, in the forefront, you know? So, I mean, I'm with you there, Taboo. But even then, I work Saturdays. So,
pay a price for. Do you know who does not?
And this is it. Should we regulate it, gambling, but then it's normalized? Or should it be unregulated and it's not normalized, but there's a ton of back-end problems happening? I don't know the right answer. Well, I do know the right answer. The right answer is Jesus. But you can believe what you want to believe, Chant. Hopefully I'm a witness to the alternative.
We pay a price for that? The gambling companies. It is an unpriced negative externality. So it's one of those things. Freedom to gamble, positive freedom, that's one thing. But what about freedom from all of the negative bullshit that stems from gambling, that gambling companies inflict upon us, but do not pay for themselves? What do you think about that? And I mean that in a genuine, open way. Do let me know in the comments. And if you want...
Great question, Bellular. Let me tell you, I blame Riot Games because they are responsible for player salaries and player well-being and player wellness. And without the players, they don't have an esport league. So if we help, chat, wealth does not trickle down. It trickles up. Executives that are selfish and do stuff that are anti-player are the problem. We're in a position where esports as a whole has been, the esports winter has been just grinded down into dust because the executives will make an ad deal for a couple $1 million and they'll give the players the scrap of the scrap. And they'll keep most for themselves. What's the right way to do this? Man, I hope I can get a company one day that can help make some bigger stuff so I can try to do it better myself. That's why we're doing these kind of videos. Chat, make sure you go check out Bellier's video. Make sure you go sub to them and support them. Make sure, we're going to link this in the chat right now for you. This is awesome stuff. This is also a really, really good point from this top comment here. You will not see Visa or MasterCard stepping in for this because gambling is good for children. There's a lot of other politics happening right now that gaming is being affected by. And I want y'all to stay informed. What I think you can take from this is keep a sharp eye on your favorite video games that are coming out with new expansions and new things in the coming years. And if you see gambling creeping in more and more, my recommendation to you is don't engage. It might seem attractive, it might seem fun and interesting, but you can vote with your wallet. You can help gaming recover from the scourge that is gambling by voting with your wallet positively. And if you want more news like this, to stay informed and to stay up to beat with all the gaming culture things that are happening, that's this playlist right here. And if you want to sub for more MMO guides, that's this right here. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much.